Recording in progress.
Please rise as you are able. I now call this meeting of City Council to order.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
The City of Barrie acknowledges the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe people, which include the Odawa, Ojibwe, and Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. We also acknowledge the Wendat Nation Huron, who occupied these lands prior to the middle of the 17th century. We're dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and recognize the enduring presence of Indigenous peoples on this land. We're committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people. You may be seated. Welcome to Barrie City Council this evening, this Tuesday night at 6:41 p.m. We are meeting tonight instead of tomorrow due to the Federation of Canadian Municipalities that is taking place out in Calgary. And members of council will be, if not already there, will be out there for much of FCM. We're going to move into the confirmation of the minutes as there's no student mayors. The minutes of the City Council meeting held May 15th, 2024 are being circulated. Are there any corrections? I'm seeing none. They are adopted as printed. There's no awards and recognition or reports from officers this evening. We do have a deputation from Mr. Greg Jones concerning motion 24G 143 of the Second General Committee report dated May 29th, 2024 concerning the proposed housing community improvement plan. Mr. Jones, you can approach the microphone. In accordance with the city's procedural bylaw, each deputation will be permitted a maximum of 5 minutes this evening, Mr. Jones. And you'll see the timer that's on the screen as well to be able to guide you going forward. Over to you.
Well, thank you kindly, Your Worship. I'll keep it brief. Your Worships, members of council, my name is Greg Jones. I'm the president of SkyDev, part of the Skyline Group of companies. We actively invest in new rental housing in Ontario. I'm before you tonight as a rental housing provider and to share my experience. I appreciate the consideration of my deputation at committee. I believe the bylaw before you is well drafted and effective to attract investment, to take a significant step towards the city's housing pledges. I applaud this council for this step forward and bringing back the CIP and recommend that you be so bold as to approve the CIP bylaw tonight in the face of a housing crisis. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Are there any questions from members of council for Mr. Jones? I'm seeing none. Thank you for your deputation and support of the CIP motion this evening. Thank you, Mr. Jones. I'm now going to go directly into committee reports. Deputy Mayor Thompson, you have the motions, I believe. You might soon have the motions. floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Nuttall. Moved by myself, second by Councillor Harvey, that Section A of the First General Committee report dated May 29, 2024, now circulated, be received.
It's moved by Deputy Mayor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Harvey, that Section A of the First General Committee report dated May 29, 2024, now circulated, be received. 24G121, the confidential potential acquisition of property matter, acquisition of land for municipal purposes. Are there any questions or concerns or comments with regards to this motion? I'm seeing none. All those in favor? It carries. Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Harvey, that Section B of the First General Committee report dated May 29, 2024, now circulated, be received.
It's moved by Deputy Mayor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Harvey, that Section B of the First General Committee report dated May 29, 2024, now circulated, be received. 24G122, confidential personal information matter, committee appointments. Are there any questions or comments with regards to this motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor? It carries. Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Harvey, that Section C of the First General Committee report dated May 29, 2024, now circulated, be adopted.
It's moved by Deputy Mayor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Harvey, that Section C of the First General Committee report dated May 29, 2024, now circulated, be adopted. 24G123, acquisition of property matter, acquisition of land for municipal purposes. Are there any questions or comments with regards to this motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? It carries. Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Harvey, that Section D of the First General Committee report dated May 29, 2024. 5D.
One mistaken.
I got the dates wrong twice last week. You're okay. 2024, now circulated, be adopted.
It's moved by Deputy Mayor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Harvey, that Section D of the First General Committee report dated May 29, 2024, now circulated, be adopted. 24G124, committee appointments, business licensing appeal committee, Heritage Barrie Committee, and Youth Council. Are there any questions or comments with regards to the appointments? Seeing none, all those in favor? It carries. Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Harvey, that Section A of the Second General Committee report dated May 29, 2024, now circulated, be received.
It's moved by Deputy Mayor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Harvey, that Section A of the Second General Committee report dated May 29, 2024, now circulated, be received. 24G125, memorandum from circulation list dated February 21, 2024, concerning the key performance indicators for Council's 2022 to 2026 strategic plan. 24G126, report of the Community Safety Committee dated May 8, 2024. 24G127, report of the Affordability Committee dated May 8, 2024. 24G128, report of the Infrastructure and Community Investment Committee dated May 15, 2024. Are there any questions or comments with regards to the motions on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor? It carries. Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Harvey, that Section B of the Second General Committee report dated May 29, 2024, now circulated, be adopted.
It's moved by Deputy Mayor Thompson. It's seconded by Councillor Harvey. The Section B of the Second General Committee report dated May 29, 2024, now circulated, be adopted. 24G129, investigation no stopping zone, St. John Vianney Catholic School in Ward 8. 24G130, bike lane Grove Street in Ward 1. 24G131, raised intersection Madeline Drive and Country Lane, Ward 9. 24G132, investigation for three-way stop Ann Street North and Hanover Street West, Ward 4. 24G133, 2024, doors open Barrie. 24G134, Sydenham Wells and Penetanguishene Road, no parking anytime, Ward 1. 24G135, 2024, capital project status report. Final 24G136, 2022 and 23 annual procurement activity report and bylaw update. 24G137 development charge credit agreement, Hewitt's Creek secondary plan area, force main and pumping station in Ward 10. 24G138 2023 municipal stormwater management system report. Are there any questions or comments with regards to the motions that are on the floor in Section B? Seeing none, all those in favor? And it carries.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Harvey, that Section C of the Second General Committee report dated May 29, 2024, now circulated, be adopted.
It's moved by Deputy Mayor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Harvey, that Section C of the Second General Committee report dated May 29, 2024, now circulated, be adopted. 24G139, zoning bylaw amendment application 189, 191, 195, 197 Duckworth Street, Ward 1. Councillor Morales?
Thank you, Mayor Nadeau. I'd like to declare potential pecuniary interest concerning the foregoing matter, as I and my family own properties that are part of this rezoning application. So I will sit in the council gallery for this and remove myself from the discussion.
Thank you, Councillor Morales. Madam Clerk, has the conflict been noted?
Yes, Mayor Nuttall, it has.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions or comments from members of council with regards to the motion on the floor? I'm seeing none. All those in favor? It carries. Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Harvey, that Section D of the Second General Committee report dated May 29, 2024, now circulated, be adopted.
It's moved by Deputy Mayor Thompson and seconded by Councillor Harvey that Section D of the Second General Committee report dated May 29, 2024, now circulated, be adopted. 24G140, Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan Committee.
Hold, please.
And,
Oh, sorry.
sure, you can just have the floor there, Councillor.
May I have the floor?
Yeah, go ahead.
I have an amendment, if I may, and then I can speak to that. So I am moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Jim Harris, that motion 24G140 of Section D of the Second General Committee report dated May 29, 2024, regarding Community Safety and Wellbeing Committee be amended to add a representative from the Simcoe-Muskoka District Health Unit.
It's moved by Councillor Kungle, seconded by Councillor Harris. The motion 24G140 of Section D of the Second General Committee report dated May 29, 2024, regarding Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan Committee be amended to add a representative from the Simcoe-Muskoka District Health Unit. Councillor Kungle, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. So while I appreciate the structure currently, and I know that there'll be engagement much broader, and the structure doesn't reflect everyone that was on the original committee to develop the plan. The health unit has a broad scope, not just an agency-specific mandate, and due to their work in the past and ongoing, they have dedicated staff continuing to do this work, and I think it would be great for them to bring in fact-based information to having touched a lot of these other elements that are in the plan. Not to say, I know there's been a lot of interest by other members in general, but I think if people look to the terms of reference of this, that I'm seeing most people that have engaged me about what about other agencies might be able to find themselves at least within the scope of representation of those groups, or can be engaged by the committee, knowing that all the meetings of that committee when it's struck will be public facing. So I do though believe that it is a valid request for the health unit based on its mandate and its work to date to be considered as an addition.
Thank you, Councillor Kungle, and the amendments on the floor. Are there any other comments or questions from members of council? Councillor Harris.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Nadeau. Maybe just to be supportive, I seconded this, but I did appreciate, and having missed last week, thank you everybody for your efforts to put together this committee. Yeah, I think the health unit is a really great add, given the sectors that are represented, and I agree with Councillor Congo that we have some entities that represent multiple agencies. It really strengthens the collective effort. So with the amendment, I think we've got a strong committee, so thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Harris. Any other questions or comments? I'm seeing none. All those in favor? It carries. So the main motion as amended. Are there any other questions or comments? I think Councillor Corser.
Yes, I have an amendment to the motion.
Yep, go ahead.
So moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Ritma, that motion 24G140 of the Second General Committee report dated May 29, 2024 be amended to remove the member from Safe Barrie, and I can speak to that.
Sure. The floor is yours as soon as I read that out.
Mm-hmm.
It's moved by Councillor Corser, seconded by Councillor Rietman, that motion 24G140 of the Second General Committee report dated May 29, 2024 be amended to remove the member from Safe Barrie. And the floor is yours. Sorry, Councillor, you got to turn the mic on. Yeah.
The reason why I brought this amendment forward, was because I did a quick search of who Safe Barrie was, and I couldn't find any information about the group. They're not listed in a business registry unless they're a numbered company. They're not a registered nonprofit. I couldn't find a board of directors or a record of members. There is a Facebook group who last posted from 2019, and I don't even know if it's the same entity, probably not. I don't know. I can't find out because I couldn't find a presence at all or any information on this group. And I think it's, I think it's a strange precedent to set that we are appointing members to a community safety well-being plan committee. All the other members of the committee, you can look them up, you can see who they are. You can check what their mandates are. You can see what their board of directors, any kind of information, you can contact them with questions, whatever it may be. But this group here seems to be pretty, at this point, at this time, anonymous. So if there was maybe I invite them to come to the Community Safety Committee, do a presentation, or any kind of information that would be given would be make myself comfortable to actually vote on this. But I don't know who they are at this time. They could be an indie rock band. I have no idea who they are, so I just wanted to put that forward. Thank you.
An indie rock band would make the committee more interesting, there's no question. Deputy Mayor, I think, as I recall it, the Safe Barrie folks came out to the Community Safety Committee for the public meeting we had on safety downtown. Councillor Congo?
I still have the floor. I don't remember they being an organization.
Sorry, you can only speak once at City Council, and you've already ceded the floor. Councillor Congo?
Maybe to clarify if it's helpful, and I'm not sure if this is fair to ask Ms. McAlpine, but I'm looking at the motion, and it says to establish with the following agencies, boards, and or commissions, and maybe it's how we define that, or it's interpreted. But can you speak to, I do recognize that it also identifies, I think in paragraph 15, that there have been different organizations approached in forming the original plan. Some of those have evolved or changed over time. Does the structure of this committee, which is mandated to review the existing plan by July 1st of 2025, is it structured with a provincial expectation or our own expectation where those representatives have to fit into how we define agencies, boards, or commissions, or can they be more loosely represented?
Mayor Nuttall, through you to Councillor Kungle, the listed ones that were included in the initial staff report, excuse me, are the ones that are legislatively required. Council has the authority and discretion to add them.
Okay, so, good. Do you have water?
And those organizations that you had do not need to be an agency, or it can be any entity or person.
I'm not prepared to judge to remove someone that I think has, while I don't know them well, is a name that I recognize as a local one and a diversity of opinion. So for me, I'm looking at, hearing from the rest of the group, but otherwise, if it passes, then having someone from Safer Barrie identify themselves and if they represent a group or if they represent an individual and whether or not they're if they've evolved in structure, then maybe they're not appropriate, and we can consider that with the meeting of the committee in terms of reference about who's there and who's confirmed membership, because I think we've not put names to this, just I'll call it entities for sake of having different forms, whether it be a board, corporation, or commission, or maybe a grassroots group.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Any other comments or questions from members of Council? Councillor Harris?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Nuttall, and thank you, Councillor Corsi. You made good points. Having not been to the discussion last week, I don't know where that went as far as understanding the value of Safe Barrie. And I, again, like Councillor Congo, don't have enough information to say they should or shouldn't, and I respect that they were there from last week. So I guess that question would be, in knowing that we have in the recommended motion designated sectors, areas that are identified to round up the committee, and as I said earlier, council took a really, I think, a thoughtful approach, not to target organizations, agencies, but to target individuals, or pardon me, not individuals, persons who represent collectives. So the Coalition for Children, Youth and Families, the Barrie Area OHT representing, many of the healthcare providers in our community, and the county representing those who provide services in our community. So I guess maybe it's a question, is there a sector here that Safer Barrie represents that isn't covered by the collective effort that we have with all of the other members? And if so, I mean, that sounds like an opportunity, but I wouldn't know enough to discern their role and their how to appreciate them as a new member so I don't think I could vote them out, but I like the idea of, as this committee evolves, there's, what role do they play and what specific function do they add to this effort? So I'll leave it at that, but thank you.
Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. Maybe a little clarification. In the June public meeting we had, there was some business owners who had come down and spoke about some of the behaviors and some of the experiences in downtown. So the Safer Barrie group would be some downtown businesses and some people who are working with the county on looking at solutions and just a different perspective. And I appreciate Councillor Kungle and Councillor Harris's motion that put on the health unit, which I think there's some varying opinions, which is what you need to get to, a good place with something like this, where I think that we looked a little bit too much on organizations last time. We're having the umbrella approach where you can see where some of the deficiencies are and stuff like that, where you're able to draw in from all these other different agencies. So at this time, I can't support the amendment. And for those reasons, I think the committee will, establish, have meetings, and then see the strong points and, if people want to continue to participate and stuff, and with the value to the committee. So I will be, no, I meant the first amendment to put the health unit on was Councillor Kungle's.
Councillor Hamilton and then Councillor Morales.
Thank you, and through you, Chair Nuttall. I do think Councillor Cursor raises some excellent points, and I myself also tried to look into Safer Barrie in terms of what their sort of mission goals or who they were within our community. And I'm hesitant as well to put a group on this that I really have no idea, not that I want specific individuals, but I have no idea what they do in this space. And so I'm actually leaning to where she's coming at it from. And I think if the committee gets together, and again, I'm all for diversity, having people with experience, lived experience, and having that broader consultation that even Councillor Kungle alluded to, that this isn't, even if you're on the committee, they're probably going to do some broader outreach. I'm hesitant to have someone actually the formal member on a committee that I also don't know who they are at this point. They could be excellent in this space. What you just said, Deputy Mayor Thompson, in terms of that they're a group of sort of business owners, I think that's great. I'd love to have that perspective, but it's really not a formalized group. So I would see that as being a broader consultation. So I'm actually going to have to agree with the amendment on the table. I don't support a group that I really don't have any background on. The other ones all make sense. They all have a specific mandate. They all have very clear objectives in sort of this function that we want. But Safe Barrie, I'm just not sure.
Thank you, Councillor Hamilton and Councillor Morales.
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. Question to either yourself or the clerk. Is this one of those committees that, as a result of strong mayor powers, you theoretically would have the ability to put members on the committee, chairs, vice chairs of that nature?
I only have the power under strong mayor powers to appoint members of council. When it comes to members of the public, that's not a strong mayor power that exists.
Okay.
So council appoints public members, and then if I chose to, I could appoint council members, which I chose not to do.
Okay, perfect. I'll be supporting it. I don't have too much of a concern regarding the group, the lack of exposure. Every day, every week, I'm finding out of new groups that I didn't know operated and do great work in the community. And then the other thing that gives me comfort is that, as we've already learned in the preceding year and a bit, we do committee reviews. Now, I don't know how much, exactly we would, if we theoretically got their situation, we would need to look at that. But there's checks and balances, and the other thing is, with the representative from the various institutions that are on there, they seem to complement themselves well. So I'll be supporting it.
Thank you, Councilor Morales. And Councilor Harvey, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Nuttall. I don't really have a huge concern with this group. I do totally agree with what the Deputy Mayor said about having broad groups being represented at the table, because I used to be on this committee when the plan was formed. And having so many people around that table and having a full boardroom in that Sir Robert Barrie room and one of the other rooms that we'd use occasionally, it was difficult to get things done, to be quite honest with you. And that's why things took much longer than what any of us would have anticipated. Eventually, we got to where we needed to be. And I'm not so concerned about this group. Like, if you go onto their website, it very clearly explains who they are. They're a group of residents and business owners and community stakeholders that deeply care about the City of Barrie, and it continues on a little bit more with a few other links to Facebook and stuff. It doesn't specifically say names of people, which I'll be quite honest with you, it doesn't concern me, because about a decade or so, I used to be involved in the Crime Stoppers world, and they too did the same thing. Years ago, you used to publicly post all your directors, and they got away from that for obvious safety concerns. And obviously, because there's some varying opinions, especially when it came to certain aspects of the community safety plan, and predominantly when we were discussing the safe consumption site, I don't necessarily blame them for not advertising who their names are, so that way they don't personally get targeted potentially, or their businesses. So I will not support the amendment. I'll move forward as the staff has recommended, because I don't have any concerns. And then obviously, if concerns arise around the table, then members can report back and we can deal with it at that point.
Thank you so much, Councilor Harvey. Councilor Rietma.
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. I seconded the motion, and I did that because I'm not so sure that this organization is very active at the moment. And I take the Deputy Mayor's comment about the fact that these people seem to represent some of the downtown interests, and I think that's fair. And Councillor Harris has been very deliberate about, trying to expand, have a larger group representation. And my view of it is that I would far sooner have a group like the BIA represented here than this particular group. I think that is a much better representation of downtown, if that's the area that we really want to focus on with this group. So that would be my preference, and that's why I second it.
Thank you, Councilor Rietma. I think the area where this group is concerned does not fall inside the BIA. So I just as a note, and also I also wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page. This was an amendment last week, so it wasn't staff recommended. It was actually an amendment. So just make sure everyone's on the same page, and we're working on good information. Okay, are there any other questions or comments with regards to the amendment from Councillor Corser? Seeing none, so all those in favor of Councillor Corser's amendment and those against? Okay, it fails. On the main motion, are there any other amendments? Councillor, amendment or comment?
Not an amendment, just a comment, because I
Yeah.
can speak to it now that it's, I think, past the amendment. I think it's good conversation and really valid. And so for me, again, my hesitation is kind of the unknown, but broad strokes and those groups that kind of were involved in different engagement. But I guess I would say for individuals watching, it's not a closed door. So I think, there were over, 15 action items. The mandate of this group is really to review the plan and make some suggestions over the next year. So I would say, I'm even aware that I think there's at least 4 to 5 other agencies that were on the previous committee that are not reflected here. So it's not necessarily to replicate the last community safety and wellbeing composition, but it's really just around who can help to give a broad strokes review, advice, realignment, and come back. And I think, and I'm hoping those that have or have not been included in the structure, it looks like there was a survey of organizations that were part of the development of the original plan, and that's coming back as input into this committee. So again, they're public-facing meetings, and I would just say at least you know who's there, and perhaps once we get individuals identified, then you can reach out to ones that you're concerned about or you feel represented by. I think the other piece too is I'm assuming Ms. McAlpine, I'm not sure if you can speak to this at this time. How soon would this group start to meet? Is this a fall intention because we're coming into the summer? Or would we be looking at reaching out to these groups for a representation to be identified and confirmed before the summer break?
Through Mayor Nuttall to Councillor Kungle, given the relatively short time frame to review and revise the plan, the hope would be that we could get quorum of the group during the summertime to have at least one meeting, if not more than one. We have until July of 2025 to review and revise the plan. That's not that long a period of time. So the hope would be to get started as soon as possible, if we can achieve quorum.
And from a public transparency, would the names of members be identified once they're confirmed by their respective agencies?
Through Mayor Nuttall to Councillor Kungle, certainly they could be. One of the things that we found as part of the past committee, organizations may have sent different representatives at different times. That, as Councillor Harvey may attest to, had its benefits and challenges in terms of continuity of information, but often they may appoint someone and then have a secondary individual to ensure that they're represented. At this point in time, I think we have an idea of who the individuals would be from most of the organizations, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they'll be at every single meeting.
And then, I guess, final question. If it's identified that the Safer Barrie group doesn't really have a structure, or it's an individual that doesn't really represent a broader group or has any type of association, it's really just an individual, would that then be dealt with around a membership change or reconsideration at that committee, or would it come back to council as a concern?
Through Mayor Nuttall, excuse me, to Councillor Kungle, there is no requirement for any of the additional members of the committee to have a particular affiliation. I'm not sure that came out clearly in my coughing earlier. It would not be staff reporting back on changing the composition. We're merely seeking a representative of Safer Barrie. Safer Barrie would select whomever represents them, similar to in the past with Town and Gown, they would select their representative from the Homeowners Association, and that might change over a period.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other comments or questions? Councillor Corser.
A question to staff through you, Mayor Nuttall, to, I guess, Ms. McAlpine, if you're okay. A question, when it was, are all the meeting minutes, they're not public meetings, correct?
Mayor Nuttall, through you to Councillor Corser, this is a committee of council. The meeting agendas and minutes are public. In the last committee, they had focus groups where smaller groups of entities were involved in interviewing representatives of various sectors. Those focus groups, just like a subcommittee, wouldn't necessarily have a public agenda, but the main committee would have agendas and minutes.
Follow-up question, if I may. So it's not like any of the advisory committees. I'm guessing this is not a publicized, recorded.
It's
Public.
the exact same as every other advisory committee.
Okay. So then
Public
the
agendas, public minutes, and of the meeting.
So another question. So just like any of the other advisory committees, the public can actually attend the meetings then?
Yes, and that and that occurred in the past. Yes, they would be able to attend.
Okay, thank you very much.
Unless there was a closed portion of the meeting for some reason. I can't fathom it at this point, but that is possible.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the information.
Any other questions or comments on the main motion? I'm seeing none. All those in favor? And it carries. Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Harvey, that Section E of the Second General Committee Report dated May 29, 2024, now circulated, be adopted.
It's moved by Deputy Mayor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Harvey, that Section E of the Second General Committee Report dated May 29, 2024, now circulated, be adopted. 24G141, lease of additional speed enforcement cameras. Councillor Harvey, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Nuttall. I have 3 amendments. I'd like to introduce each one individually as they kind of touch on different aspects. So moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Harris, that motion 24G141 of Section E of the Second General Committee Report dated May 29th, 2024, regarding the lease of additional speed enforcement cameras be amended to add the following. That staff and development services make arrangements for the installation of 2 speed camera in use signs in each direction of an automated speed camera when the camera is in use, taking into consideration locating the signs at roadways or near the camera location so that drivers will be better warned when entering the area of speed cameras.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Clerk. It's moved by Councillor Harvey, seconded by Councillor Harris, that motion 24G141 of Section E of the Second General Committee Report dated May 29th, 2024, regarding the lease of additional speed enforcement cameras be amended to add the following: that Staff and Development Services Department make arrangements for the installation of 2 speed camera in-use signs in each direction of an automated speed camera when the camera is in use, taking into consideration locating the signs at roadways or near the camera location so the drivers will be better warned when entering the area of speed camera locations. And the floor is yours, Councillor Harvey.
Right. Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. After receiving quite a number of calls and emails, especially when one of the locations was in my ward on Essa Road, just south of Mapleview, where the high school and Timothy Christian Private School is, started looking at the setup of the signs a little bit closer and comparing them to what I've seen in other jurisdictions. And it was through that I then realized the locations were actually being set up differently. One was a single sign as you were entering the area, and the other location was a single sign but physically attached to the pole where the camera was. So by the time you're already in, the camera's got you before you've even seen the sign. The other issue that came up, especially on the Essa Road one, was if you were pulling in off of Dyer and going on to Essa Road, unless you happen to be sitting there at the light stopped and looking at the pole at a particular angle, you wouldn't have actually even seen the small, maybe, I think it's like 12 or 14 inches square sign that says municipal speed camera in use. So this is just to sign it a little bit better. When you look at other municipalities that have had the speed cameras operating for a few years longer than us, you do see that in a lot of locations, especially the more wider roads where you're getting into multiple lanes opposed to just one lane each way. And I think it really comes down to the optics, because unfortunately the people that were calling me were not working people like us. They were retirees. One guy that phoned me had already gotten 3 and went to the mailbox that morning, and there was 3 more waiting for him. And he was someone that lived in that immediate area. And at almost $200 a pop, a retiree, that's significant. And that's why I really do support this alternative penalty system with the screeners, because it'll help with dealing with those situations when people have got multiples and dealing with that. And another lady was literally crying on the phone. Doesn't live in our jurisdiction, but comes northbound on 27, where it turns into Essa Road, driving her husband to the hospital a couple times a week, and all of a sudden she got a couple too, and quite evidently didn't know how she was going to pay the $200 a pop, because with them being in community safety zones, the other thing is the fines are doubled too, so that's why the fines are as steep as they are. So those are my comments. I think it's just all about, more about optics, signing it as best as possible to be able to give people a fair, frank warning that you're entering a speed camera area, as I've seen in other jurisdictions.
Thank you, Councillor Harvey. Any other comments or questions? Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. So I will support the amendment, but reluctantly. So the explanation that somebody's got 6 tickets and we're going to put more signs is, like, I'm more worried about that person driving 6 times through a school zone speeding. But the optics of, and I understand, but the whole purpose was to change behavior. So more signage, if they slow down, that's how I can support it, but not for the people who have multiple tickets. That's not why I'm supporting this. But for the having more signs, more people will slow down, and I think we need to remember there's a camera that catches you speeding, but there's already a sign that posts a speed limit not to speed in the school zones. This one just catches you. So there's always signs there. But like I said, I can support it because when I voted in favor of going down the road of cameras, it was my main thought process was if we can change the behaviors was the purpose, and if we can't change the behaviors, then there was something that we could reinvest into more safety. So it's about road safety for me. It's not about the person with multiple tickets, and that's actually concerning that their behavior isn't changing. So, but I will support it. But like I said, we've already got signs that indicate speed zones in school zone, and they're called speed signs.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And Councillor Corser.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Nuttall, to, I guess it would be Ms. Banfield. Is there any reason why the signs were different at different locations?
Through you, Mayor Nuttall, to Councillor Corser. Typically, staff really just tried to use the existing posts. So we obviously used the requirements of the Highway Traffic Act as it relates to the signage requirements. And ultimately, it was trying to use existing infrastructure because, as Council knows, if we needed to do new posts, we'd need new locates, and it just adds time to it.
If I could follow up, so the signs that were accompanying the cameras were following the the MTO laws?
Through you, Mayor Nuttall, to Councillor Corser, correct.
I can't support this because, as Deputy Mayor Thompson mentioned, they were speeding 6 times in a school zone. And I don't think that, and there is speed limits in school zones. They're community safety zones for a reason. If we're following the rules of the MTO, then I think that we are on solid legal ground. And I think that what we've been doing good is we have, in my ward and Street Hill, there has been a significant slow down, and I hope it stays that way. I think that we should stay the course, and I think that for as long as we're following the MTO rules, then we're good. So I can't support the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Corser. Councillor Rietma.
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. I have a question for Ms. Banfield as well. Is there And do you have any concern with the amendment as proposed? Like, is it a practical thing to do, or is it going to cause us some grief?
Through you, Mayor Nuttall, to Councillor Rietma, I don't believe there's an issue with adding extra sign.
Okay. I'm a bit torn on this one. On the one side, I'm saying to myself, if somebody speeds, the signage is there, they should change their behavior, and that's really what I'd like them to do. On the other hand, certainly giving them fair warning is a reasonable approach, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do.
Councilor Morales?
I'm struggling with this one as well. Fair warning is great, public disclosure, all that fun stuff, but fair warning implies that you're giving them warning to change something, and if they were going to speed a limit or within the range of variance, then they wouldn't need to change something. Right, so if they were keeping to the spirit of the speed limit, because I know there's a bit of a variance, they wouldn't need to change anything. So I like the fair warning part, but I'm really struggling with this one as well, because all it does is really make them slow down for a greater period of time. But now it's reminding me of the speed bumps where people slam on the brakes before they get to it. They're compliant when they go over it, and then they slam on it again. So it's kind of following a different but similar logic on this one. But I appreciate, obviously, the rationale that Councillor Harvey brought, and obviously some residents are experiencing multiple tickets. So this one's an interesting one. I'll listen to further discussion.
Councillor Hamilton.
Thank you, and through you, I'm going to support this. I think the whole intent of speed cameras is to slow people down, is to change behavior. And while I appreciate Councillor Cursor's comments in terms that we're doing everything that we're legislatively required to do, which is great, I think anything we can do to slow down folks is a must. And, if people aren't slowing down, and again, we don't have the flashing lights. I mean, I've driven through as well, and I think if we want them to slow down, if we want them to be aware that cameras are there, if more signage is going to help in that respect, then I'm all for that. And I guess my question actually is, I know we were following up with the province regarding the flashing lights and sending them that communication that we prefer to have cameras in use in addition to the flashing lights. Is there any follow-up in that front? I know you sent out the communications. I don't think we had heard anything back yet, but just checking on that, because in my opinion, if the flashing lights are off, additional signage may help, in fact, remind people that this is a community safety zone and to slow down. That's the behavior we want. Let's make sure we give as much communication about as we can.
Thank you, through you, Mayor Nuttall, to Councillor Hamilton. I actually looked into that inquiry today because we did have a media inquiry the same. And as far as I could check from anyone in the city, we've not received formal written response to that letter that we sent to the ministry.
Thank you for that update. So in my opinion, until we hear something back and until we can resume the use of the flashing lights, I think additional signage is probably a smart move at this point. So thank you, Councillor Harvey, for putting this forward.
Councillor Harris.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Nuttall, and thank you, Councillor Hamilton. I was sitting here having the same recollection of most of the concerns that were presented to me by residents when we had Councillor Morales and I shared one of the first ones on Big Bay Point, was the loss of the flashing signs. So when we say, fair warning that you're about to enter a special area, we lost a pretty clear and distinct warning. And I understand it was legislated, and then we had to put up a sign that had a lot of text on it. And so I think that in of itself was, a step backwards as far as advising people of the importance of the area you're about to drive through and to be aware that this is a school safety zone. So I like the idea of adding some more signage to help alert people to the importance of the area you're about to drive through. Not that you're not already aware, and it may not be speed, it's just awareness, quite frankly. It's two things, right? It's being aware of where you're driving and also the speed that you're likely to need to be careful at. And it changes, and I think that was the other piece too, that it changes. Not always is it, or was it in the past, 40. It would go 40, and then when signs are flashing, it was 40, but not when they weren't flashing. So I think there's been some changes. So I think fair warning to people to reinforce the behavior of slowing down and to be aware in safety zones, school safety zones, I think that would be a positive move. And if we were kind of doing a PDSA cycle, this might be the outcome of how do we improve this. We've studied it, and now we can add some more signage to make it even better. So I'll support the amendment.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other questions or comments? Councillor Kungl?
No, just a good conversation, I think, overall on it. And sometimes I think, what's our decision-making framework? But if it really is about, reducing harm and helping people make that behavior change, then, I'm not all for signs. Sometimes we think signs solve it, but I think here where we've made an investment, it's part of more of a comprehensive initiative. I'm okay to see it go forward for consideration for budget intake form.
So this particular item isn't for budget intake form, it's to actually do the signs. I know there's another item that's coming forward with the budget
Okay.
intake form.
So separate and apart, I'm fine for this as well as I think what I believe is coming next.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Any other questions or comments? I think everyone's taking a round at this. We don't usually have that around the table, do we? I think when I look at it, I struggle as well in the sense that everyone has already said, it's like we're going to warn people to slow down so they don't get a ticket in a place that we are using the tickets as a way to encourage people to slow down. One piece that kind of sticks out to me, though, is that marketing matters, and the more times you tell somebody something, the brain retention goes up, and hopefully that has a more permanent impact on driving in these said areas. So I'll support it as well. I'm going to call the vote. All those in favor of the motion by Councillor Harvey here? And it carries. Now we're on the main motion. Councillor Harvey, I think you have a second amendment?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Nuttall. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Harris, that motion 24-G-141 of Section E of the Second General Committee Report dated May 29th, 2024, regarding the lease of additional speed enforcement cameras be amended to add the following. That Staff and Development Services Department prepare and submit an operating intake form for consideration as a part of the 2025 budget concerning the installation of a second set of school zone signs and the school time speed limit sign for each of the community safety zones within the city where the automated speed cameras will be operated on main arterial roads that are 2 lanes in width with the characteristics similar to the south end of Essa Road and the other roadways that are 4 lanes wide. And I can speak to that.
It's moved by Councillor Harvey and seconded by Councillor Harris that motion 24G141 of Section E of the Second General Committee Report dated May 29th, 2024 regarding the lease of additional speed enforcement cameras be amended to add the following. The staff in the Development Services Department prepare and submit an operating intake form for consideration as part of the 2025 budget concerning the installation of a second set of school zone signs and the school time speed limit sign for each of the community safety zones within the city where automated speed cameras will be operated on main arterial roads that are 2 lanes in width with characteristics similar to the south end of Essa Road and other roadways that are 4 lanes wide. Over to you, Councillor.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Nuttall. Again, just by looking around to what our neighboring municipalities have been doing that have had this program running for several years longer than us, and obviously, as Councillor Harris just mentioned, the fact that the yellow lights have to be covered when the cameras are in place due to some technicalities and provincial legislation. And when you look at York Region, for instance, they've even taken it one level further recently and even added the round neon new sign at their locations where the cameras are operating. Now, their cameras only operate on similar roads like what we're talking about here, main arterials. That would be considered regional roads or county roads in our case. And that's why, like, I've included in the amendment the south end of Essa Road, because you're dealing with Highway 27 that then splits off and is still a very rural 2-lane road when you hit that first set of schools, and that's kind of an anomaly in our city, whereas when you start looking at other areas, whether it's Yonge Street, Big Bay Point, Ann Street, you're predominantly dealing with wider roads that are at least 4 lanes wide. And the other rationale behind this too is when you're dealing with wider lanes, and let's say you're on the incoming, not on the curb lane, you're in the center lane, you can actually be blocked out by another vehicle and not see it. Obviously, if you live around here, you know when you're coming up to a school zone, but if you don't live around here, you'd have no idea potentially that you're entering a school zone. And it's all about giving people fair warning. Hopefully, they wouldn't miss both. But again, this is just best practices that I've seen in other municipalities.
Thank you, Councillor. The motion's on the floor. Any other questions regarding the second signage of the school zones and the speed limits in school zones? Seeing none, all those in favor? It carries. I believe there's one more.
One last one, thank you. It's probably good I did them individually, especially with the conversation around the first one. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Harris, that motion 24G 141 of Section E of the Second General Committee Report dated May 29th, 2024, regarding the lease of additional speed enforcement cameras be amended to add the following. That's Staff and Development Services Department prepare and submit an operating intake form for consideration as a part of the 2025 budget requesting in-road flexible speed signs and any additional poly bollards required for school zones throughout the city. And I can speak to that.
It's moved by Councillor Harvey, seconded by Councillor Harris, that motion 24G141 of Section E of the Second General Committee Report dated May 29th, 2024 regarding the lease of additional speed enforcement cameras be amended to add the following. That staff in Development Services Department. So I'm just going to fix this, Councillor, and ask you just initial that. Thanks so much. Sorry about that. That staff in the Development Services Department prepare and submit an operating intake form for consideration as part of the 2025 budget requesting in-road flexible speed signs and any additional poly bollards required for school zones throughout the city. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Nuttall. Not sure if everybody knows what a in-road flexible sign is, but basically it's a sign that's probably about 12 inches wide by about 3 feet high, and obviously with it being in a school zone, at the top it says 40 kilometers per hour, and then it'll have the yellow and black stripes typically on an angle. Flexible, so that way if somebody happens to get a little too close to it and run it over, it just flexes down and doesn't take the whole thing out. They're actually very effective in other communities that I've seen, and doesn't have an impact on, as long as they're appropriately placed, doesn't have an impact on emergency vehicles getting around, nor a truck getting through. And the reason the poly bollards are mentioned too is if the roadway in front of the school happens to be really wide, then sometimes adding a bollard at the side of the curb a few feet in causes that additional narrowing effect. But they are quite effective if it's installed appropriately, and because it causes that perception that the road is narrower than what it truly is and slows people down. And where these things are really good is not so much on our main arteries, but especially when we've got schools right in the heart of our subdivisions. And again, obviously, we probably won't be putting cameras at those locations. And I've left it pretty wide open as to what location staff feel that they would be most appropriate at and the numbers that we would be looking at, or potentially even just doing it as a pilot at a few locations, see how it goes. And that's why it's kind of loosely worded. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to go with Councillor Corson and Councillor Rietma.
Ooh, I'm intrigued. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I love fantasy shopping all the options of keeping our school zones safe. So I've checked out a lot of different things. Yay. Just a question through you, Mayor Nuttall, to staff. Would this be, I'm assuming, Ms. Banfield, and I'm not even sure if you might know this just on the top of your head, with this conversation, would these be usable during winter months?
Through you, Mayor Nuttall, to Councillor Corser, most times the flexible bollards we pull out, they're seasonal, they're used like a seasonal traffic calming measure, so they'd have to be removed in the winter for snow removal.
Oh, that is so disappointing. Okay, another follow-up question, if I may. Is there anything that we are aware of or that we might be able to, staff might be able to research, look at, that might be more of a during the school season? Because the research I've done on such things, unfortunately, I love Councillor Harvey's, yay, but I just didn't think it was usable during winter months, and that kind of negates school safety. So maybe, is there anything else that you can think of that might be able to, staff to research something that, I don't even know where I'm asking this. Yeah.
Through you, Mayor Nuttall, to Councillor Corser, so if the amendment passes, staff would have to do some work on pricing out an intake form, so we could look at options. I think the wording is, it references flexible bollards, but I think we could probably take a look at other options as well, and then have it as an intake form for council to consider.
Wonderful. Back to you, Councillor Harvey. I don't know if there wants to be a change on that, or I'll leave it up to the rest of council.
Yeah, I think Ms. Banfield just said that she would be able to when she's looking, and I don't think she needs a verbiage change. We can always make a verbiage change if council wants to. I just heard that she doesn't necessarily need that.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and a great idea. We've, in Ward 1, have done, and I think in some other wards too, we've done some lane narrowing with bollards and other items, and they really tend to work pretty well. So I think there's a real opportunity to do this kind of, use this kind of thing outside of school zones as well, and I'd like 100 of them for Ward 1, frankly.
I'll wait to see the intake form and the per sign purchase price. Any other questions or comments from members of council? I'm seeing none. I'm going to call the vote. All those in favor? It carries. Any other questions or comments with regards to the main motion? Sorry, I'm trying to get all the paperwork straight here. Seeing none. All those in favor? And it carries. Deputy Mayor.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Harvey, that Section F of the Second General Committee Report dated May 29th, 2024, now circulated, be adopted.
It's moved by Deputy Mayor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Harvey, that Section F of the Second General Committee Report dated May 29th, 2024, now circulated, be adopted. 24G142 Adult School Crossing Guard Program. Are there any questions or comments with regards to the motion? Seeing none, sorry, Councillor Hamilton, was that a question, comment, or a vote?
I did just have a quick question.
Go ahead.
Thank you, and through you. I just wondering the timeline for the next safety committee meeting. I'm sorry, I didn't have a chance to look it up.
Through you, Mayor Nuttall, to Councillor Hamilton, we are likely looking at September right now for this particular item because staff was asked to get some additional information, and we only have 2 weeks of the meeting cycle left before summer recess, so we're anticipating bringing it back the first Community Safety Committee meeting in September.
Okay, that is unfortunate from my perspective, just given that, a conversation last week, we really were hopeful in looking at kind of launching this sooner rather than later if we were going to proceed with more of a collaborative type framework or model. So pushing it to fall, to me, I mean, if that's what we have to work with, I guess it is what it is, but just a bit disappointing because I feel like if that's the first meeting, community safety, and then it's got to go to general and it's got to go to council, we'll be through another school year and perhaps nothing gets done again. So maybe I would just say if there's any way to somehow fast track this in the fall, then that would be appreciative, but respect the timeline.
Thank you, Councillor Hamilton. Councillor Corser.
I would just like to stand behind. I'd like to repeat what Councillor Hamilton said on that because I know that there has been a lot of angst and interest waiting for these reports to come back, and I know they're time consuming, especially the scope and the absolute, magnitude of putting forth this project and the pricing out and the staffing and all the things. I know that it was a very, very big research project, but I am very anxious to see this come back as soon as possible as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Corser. Any other questions or comments from members of council? Seeing none, I'm going to call the vote. All those in favor? It carries. Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Harvey, that Section G of the Second General Committee report dated May 29, 2024, now circulated, be adopted.
It's moved by Deputy Mayor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Harvey, that Section G of the Second General Committee report dated May 29, 2024, now circulated, be adopted, 24G143, the proposed housing community improvement plan. Are there any questions or comments from members of council? Yes, thank you. Councillor Morales, and then Councillor Corso will have the floor.
No worries. Thank you, Mayor Nettle. I'd like to reaffirm my potential pecuniary interest from last week concerning this matter, as provisions in the proposed terms of reference to be adopted could potentially apply to development I am associated with, and so I will declare potential conflict on this and leave my chair and not influence the discussion.
Councillor Corser. Sorry, Madam Clerk, has the conflict been noted?
Yes, Mayor Nettle, it has.
Thank you. Councillor Corser, now you can have the floor.
Thank you. Want tap dance or, but through you, Mayor Nettle, I just wanted to thank Ms. Banfield and her team for talking me off the ledge on my concerns about the affordability, and I do still have the same concerns, but I feel a lot better now that really looking at the scorecards and the opening of the door for developments to be able to apply for better funding, because if they do offer these different incentives for affordable or even attainable housing. I am looking forward, if I may, talking to Ms. Banfield. You said that it's anticipated that a report should be coming back early in the new year.
Through you, Mayor Nettle, to Councillor Corser. So the conversation we had was around the price point or the calculation of affordable rent, and so the discussion that we had was, this is the recommendation in the bulletin and we kept it outside of the CIP for a reason, so we'd be able to flex the definitions as it relates to data that we get. So we said we really wanted to issue this CIP. We said that projects that have deeply affordable units are going to be reflected in the scorecard, and we really wanted to get the CIP out there, see what applications are coming in, and we always report back to council on the CIP update, and that will show you which projects received funding and where they are in the process. So that was the report back to council, which again, maybe some of the new councillors haven't seen it, but that because the CIP has been on hold, but that's what we do. We say we've done an intake, these are the projects, and then we can always be flexible with that definition of affordable after we see what the first round of intakes come back with.
And if I could, thank you so much for filling in the gaps of the information that I did not about our conversation. But again, that report should be coming up early in the new year. That is the timeline, the hopeful timeline right now.
Through you, Mayor Nettle, to Councillor Corso, we'll do the update when the intake is closed and we've ranked the grants and issued the approvals as you were, and we update council at that time, which we expect to be in either the end of this year or the very beginning of 2025.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward for the report coming back. Thank you so much, staff.
Thank you, Councillor Corser. Thanks, Ms. Banfield. Any other questions or comments from members of council? Seeing none, all those in favor, and it carries.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Harvey, that Section H of the Second General Committee Report dated May 29th, 2024, now circulated, be adopted.
It's moved by Deputy Mayor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Harvey, that Section H of the Second General Committee Report dated May 29th, 2024, now circulated, be adopted. 24G144, 2023 Budget and Business Plan Year-End Report. Are there any questions or comments with regards to this motion? Seeing none. Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. Real quick, this is a 50-page report of pretty much a summary of all our finances and just certain things that caught me. A lot of people talk about our rates of wastewater, water. If you look, the surpluses were very minimal, and it's not a revenue source. Like it's reinvested in our water systems and our wastewater, and that's one thing that we're really known for. Our infrastructure is ready and it's always updated, and it's a very important thing of our municipality. And some people talk about our rates of water, but it's the investment we're making for the future of the city. And some other highlights, and we have some surplus money. So just to Mr. Miller and his team and all of staff, if you look at kind of the summary page, that most of our departments ran under budget. So I appreciate that.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any other questions or comments from members of council? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? And it carries. Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Harvey, that Section I of the Second General Committee Report dated May 29th, 2024, now circulated, be adopted.
It's moved by Deputy Mayor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Harvey, that Section I of the Second General Committee Report dated May 29, 2024, now circulated, be adopted. 24G145, Recreation and Sport Community Grant Adjudication Process. Councillor Kungle.
I just want to quickly comment. I've got no changes or amendments on the floor, but rather than holding the circulation list, just wanted to say thank you to Mr. Bell and the team. I mean, already they've come back with information for us around identifying 6 other municipalities that they've already scoped to look into, and a formal process about the new structure. And I believe making sure that that's going to be something that's underway to make sure it's ready for the intake process. So I do appreciate staff's very quick response to this and willingness to look into the structure.
Thank you, Councillor Kungle. Councillor Harris.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Nuttall. And earlier on tonight, we approved our first youth council. And this item, I was thinking about a amendment, but I realized this is for the spring allotment. So our youth council wouldn't be ready, but I would just want to put forward that something like this is an opportunity exactly where the youth council could have a really important role. Many of the organizations that apply to this fund provide services for youth. So I don't have the amendment tonight because our committee wouldn't be ready, but rest assured that I would be looking forward to having the opportunity to add something that puts the youth council as part of this decision-making process. So I'll just leave it at that, and I don't know if it's fair with process. I'll make the same comment for the next item too, but now the process might be a little bit the timing because it's fall. We could be operational, but I will maybe talk with the clerk offline and see if that's something we can bring back once we're, because again, the Right Futures grant is about young people. So who better than to engage in that consultation and adjudication than young people? So I thank you.
Madam Clerk, if the committees that now help with the adjudication of this decide to seek the input of the youth council, is that something they can do inside of their mandates, or do they have to have written requests from council?
Through you, Mayor Nuttall, to members of council. With respect to the motion that's on the floor, there wouldn't really be the time to get the input from the youth council for this particular round, because the adjudication process has to take place during the summer in order to award the recipients in the fall, from my understanding, and Mr. Bell can jump in and correct me if I am wrong, or Ms. McAlpine. And with the second one, there is only one round of funding left for the Bright Futures at this point in time. So I'm not 100% sure of the timelines for this adjudication process off the top of my head, if it's the same fall process. So I'm going to defer to Ms. McAlpine to provide some details.
Thank you. Through Mayor Nuttall to Councillor Harris, the clerk is correct. There, at this point in time, there is only one round remaining for the other grant. Given the process that's involved in adjudicating these and the structure that has been recommended at this point in time, we would initiate the intake in the fall, but we anticipate that this will take longer given this structure versus, those groups will have a relatively short window of time to apply. So I think in this case, there's definitely not enough time for the Youth Council, and in the other one, it may be questionable as well, given the timing, and it's only a single last intake. If, of course, we receive more funding from the federal government, we could review it then.
Councillor Harris.
Yeah, thank you, Nuttall, and thank you, Ms. McAlpine and Ms. Cook. Yeah, I think it's nice to be able to raise the point of the value and the potential for this Youth Council to contribute to our community. So thank you for helping reinforce that, and I look forward to the future opportunities, because the Sport and Recreation Fund is an annual. So we look forward to 2025 having an opportunity to contribute to that effort, and obviously other potential grants that focus on youth. So exciting to know, and that our group will have some important functions that we can look forward to. So thank you.
And I have a feeling you're going to remind us. So we make sure we actually do it. Any other questions or comments with regards to the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor? It carries. Deputy Mayor?
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Harvey, that Section J of the Second General Committee Report dated May 29, 2024, now circulated, be adopted.
It's moved by Deputy Mayor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Harvey, that Section J of the Second General Committee Report dated May 29, 2024, now circulated, be adopted. 24G146, Bright Futures Barrie Grant Adjudication Process. Any questions or comments with regards to the motion on the floor? I'm seeing none. All those in favor? It carries. Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Harvey, that Section K of the Second General Committee Report dated May 29, 2024, now circulated, be adopted.
It's moved by Deputy Mayor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Harvey, that Section K of the Second General Committee Report dated May 29, 2024, now circulated, be adopted. 24G147, Memorandum from the Barrie Public Library Board and Chief Executive Officer regarding the Barrie Public Library's key performance indicators, and 24G148, Confidential Memorandum concerning a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality water lot. Any questions or comments from members of council? Seeing none, all those in favor? It carries. There are no pieces of deferred business or direct motions or presentations, and so we're on to 15 on the agenda, which is inquiries. Do I have any inquiries, Councillor Kungle?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Nuttall. I have a couple of inquiries of staff on one topic, and I'm just going to pull it up. And this was specific to an item I believe many of us are getting calls about, but it's with regards to the waterfront multi-use sports field and Sea Cadets Parade grounds. So just making reference to the May 8th staff report. And so I guess my question will first be directed to Ms. James Reed from Communications. While in that report, there is a table around timelines, high level, that does identify, I believe, next steps being an RFP to go, and then a range of different kind of aspects as it relates to, trying to find the page, sorry, design and consultation. And I didn't know, because I'm still hearing a lot of different ways in which the public has understood or misunderstood some of how that's gone from a concept into what might shape a next step. Is there anything in development at this time that council can soon point residents to as a single point of information about where we're at in the next steps of that process, and kind of an FAQ opportunity, or when we might see those concept designs coming back through the RFP process?
Thank you for the inquiry. Yes, there is a dedicated page that's in the works on barrie.ca, as is our normal process for a project that's been approved by council, especially of this scale. So we've been working closely with Ms. Banfield's team on that information, and there will be FAQs, next steps, and that's going to be on our barrie.ca page under planning. The title is Planning, Building, Infrastructure section, and then / current projects. So I could send that link out to members of council once it's live. I anticipate that it would be live this week because there is a draft prepared already. And then that will be where the FAQs will be and next steps. And then once engagement opportunities are more further developed, then we would leverage our Building Barrie page as we do for more things. But all of that would be linked from this page. So I'll follow up later in the week when it's live, and then you'll have that to respond to inquiries.
Thank you very much, Ms. James Reed. And then if I can redirect my next question to Ms. Banfield. And it doesn't have to be, I don't want to get into the weeds tonight, but I'm not sure if it's possible to clarify when that goes live. If the table on page 28 of that staff report from May the 8th that talks a bit about the phases, the tasks, and the timelines, if there's clarity about, I think there's about 6 to 7 different elements around moving from projects being tendered through the RFP, which is, I believe, the next step after council approved it, to then going into design aspects between August to December. And so I didn't know if those have embedded in them engagement opportunities for residents to give feedback or input, or if when we're communicating this timeline that was in the memo, if we can clarify where residents in the next steps will or will not have opportunity to give input, because I think those that have been really activated about this conversation are looking for making sure they don't miss out on being able to participate in any opportunities to be engaged, consulted, or inform the city about any concerns or opportunities they see for this project.
Through you, Mayor Nuttall, to Councillor Kungle, while this project is getting a lot of attention, it really is going to be operated and handled like every other Parks Master Plan project in the context of we always have consultation. We work very closely with Ms. James Reed's team, and depending on the popularity and the site, there's all sorts of things that we do, whether it's open houses or Painswick Park as an example. Like we actually had engagement right at the park, and so there's all sorts of different things. So we always have a Building Barrie presence. You can go there now and see projects that we used to have open for consultation. So, you know, there's really actually no difference in how we're going to handle this. We always do this with all of our parks projects. And even on those web pages, they'll show the timelines and what the next steps are and who's listening to the comments. It's so typically the designer will do a couple, like 2 to 3 options of different layouts, and we get comments on those and then kind of come up with a preferred option. So there still is a lot of opportunity for feedback and input and into the final design.
Okay. And if I may, in follow up, because sometimes it's the curse of knowledge about those of us that run the process and know the process. My understanding is there's no public consultation process point until after the RFP goes and we start getting information back. So there wouldn't be a summer engagement planned. It's probably something that's landing in the fall, or should residents be watching for this over their summer holidays?
Through you, Mayor Nuttall, to Councillor Kungle, we most likely, I can't see us with the timing getting consultation in the summer. We do consultation in the summer sporadically anyway, because people are on holidays and all those sorts of things. We tend not to do too much. Again, when we get the Building Barrie webpage up, there's the opportunity to register, and we get updates. All of our social media channels, tons of push notifications through there, as well as we often do media releases when we open engagement. So there should be lots of opportunity for people to hear about it and join in on those engagement sessions.
Great, thank you. And again, thank you to Communications for already starting to move on this and having a timeline that hopefully we'll see that this week. I think it's helpful to be able to point residents into one common area, especially when I think many are still wanting to have conversations to understand how it's moving forward.
Thank you, Councillor Kungl. Are there any other inquiries this evening? Seeing none, we're going to move on to announcement. Oh, sorry, Councillor Hamilton, I did see your hand before. Was it for inquiries or announcements?
Announcement.
Okay, awesome. I will go to you first after Deputy Mayor Thompson. Councillor Hamilton.
Thank you, and through you, I'm just going to mention another hot topic, which was yard waste. And I just want to say a very big thank you to staff and to residents that are watching. I know staff is really trying to balance sector, industry standards, provincial legislative changes, and resident expectations. But I think we heard residents loud and clear that there were some challenges with the changes to yard waste specifically, and putting bags out on Wednesday and not potentially having them picked up until Friday. So I know a few of us wards that had the latter half of the week pickup days. Wards, I think 8, 9, and 10 or so were picked up on Thursday and Friday, and bags were sitting out all week. We've had a whack of concerns from residents. I want to say thank you to Councillor Harvey and Councillor Negussi as well. So really bringing this back to staff and identifying this as an issue, and for staff being nimble and flexible in our approach and making the changes that needed to be made. And so if residents who are watching have not seen the media release that was coming out today, that came out today, that's starting on Monday, June 17th, yard waste will be picked up again on your designated collection day. So the same day that your garbage is picked up, but on the opposite week. So still on a bi-weekly rollout or implementation, but a designated day. So you no longer put it out on the morning, it'll be picked up sometime, it will be picked up in a designated day. So thank you to staff, and I hope that councillors are sharing this on their social media outlets as well, and just getting the word out for the changes, as I know communication can sometimes be tough, that we don't have newspapers that are going out. So I think we can all support our residents. And again, this is a good news story, I think, with listening to concerns that came in and making changes quickly. So thank you.
Councillor Harvey, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Nuttall, and ditto on that, Councillor Hamilton. And I think we should do a big shout out to Stephanie Mack and her team, and Bala for your leadership in getting us to where we are with this as of this week. So thank you. I do have one announcement, and that's on behalf of myself and Councillor Negussi. We're hosting our annual Ward 6 and 7 combined town hall on Monday, June the 24th at 6:30 p.m. at the Peggy Hill Community Center in the upper level community room. We'll be in attendance along with Mayor Nuttall, representative from the police, bylaw, waste management, which will have a display of the new bins that we'll be getting in 2025, along with representatives from Service Barrie to basically answer all things city related, I guess. But I know the last time they were at one of the town halls, they really had a really nice display about the waterfront parking passes. So please take an opportunity to come out. We had a really good showing last time of probably close to 100 people. By far the largest group that I've seen in my almost 6 years now. So please come out on Monday, June the 24th at 6:30 p.m. and watch your mailboxes, because there is a newsletter coming out advertising that, and also an update from Councillor Negussi and I in regards to both wards. And actually, Mayor Nuttall has a full page in that one too.
That's not a very nice full page there. Hopefully it's not just a photo, you know. Any other announcements? Councillor Kungl.
It's that time of year for Communities in Bloom, so if you haven't seen it yet, and I'm inviting all members of council who should have the little card with the QR code out there to please post and share information. So Again, around fostering civic pride, environmental responsibility, and beautification throughout community involvement, we've got our Communities in Bloom. The theme is orange this year. And all residents of all ages and or businesses, schools, or individuals' homes showcase anything from, one item to several items or your landscape designs. Your photos are due by June 28th to be incorporated into a photo gallery that we will be sharing with our judges. And please check out information to register at barrie.ca/communitiesinbloom.
Thank you, Councillor Kungle. Any other announcements this evening? Why don't you do it? It's all yours.
Let's share. So I was just asking Mayor Nuttall if he was going to mention our trip to Saginaw. So last week, to explain my absence, I was in Saginaw with the delegation, Saginaw, Michigan, with the delegation from City of Barrie to sign a new Twin City agreement. And actually, Mayor Nuttall did the signing. And so it was really fabulous. So on behalf of the National Relations Committee, Invest Barrie was there with the team. It was incredible to see the connections and the similarities between our two cities, and to see the energy. And their junior team is aptly named the Saginaw Spirit, because the spirit in that community is second to none. And the hospitality, and we're considered family already, as far from Mayor Brenda Moore, who is absolutely incredible. So, and they won the Memorial Cup on Sunday. I think most of us are probably watching as Saginaw Spirit fans, and we were supposed to have a jersey for Mayor Nuttall, and they were sold out. The greater Saginaw area, the last thing you could buy was a Saginaw Spirit jersey. So I apologize, Mayor Nuttall, we couldn't come through. But it was, we'll remedy that for sure. But it was an incredible visit, so thank you.
I just appreciate you not coming back with a small. That would have made it a little more difficult. Yeah, it was a wonderful time there, and they were honored enough to have the Memorial Cup, which is the first time, as I recall, it being held outside of Canada. And it was the city was, it was really on fire, right? Like, there was a lot of passion, a lot of pride for the community. Mayor Moore is a huge personality and an awesome person, and it takes quite a bit for me to feel like, wow, there's somebody who's got such a large presence, and she has an amazing presence. And it was really nice for the team to meet up, to get the signing done, to talk about the opportunities. And I think we're going to do something in a couple of weeks on this. But one of the things that struck me as the day went on was the similarities between the City of Barrie and Saginaw. And I would say that when you look at where they are and what makes them the community they are, and then you leave that behind and go, okay, what are their plans for the future? And it was literally like sitting around our table and talking about all the plans that we have here in the City of Barrie in terms of making our great city better. It was really a treat to be able to be there. Are there any other announcements before I go into the mayoral announcements? Okay. Just a reminder, this Thursday is the 80th anniversary of D-Day, and a parade and ceremony will be held at the Dunlop Street Cenotaph at 10:15 a.m. The parade will begin at the intersection of Mulcaster and Dunlop and head down Dunlop to the Cenotaph and Meridian Square. For more information, please visit barrielegion147.ca. The Barrie Air Show is returning to Kemptville Bay on Saturday, June 15th and Sunday, June 16th. There'll be lots of fun and free programming, and it'll be taking place all weekend starting on Friday, June 14th, and we will have a drone show on our beautiful waterfront on the evening of the 14th. Pollinator Week takes place between June 17th and 23rd, and the theme is Vision 2040. Pollinator Week emphasizes the contribution of pollinators to our ecosystems, economies, and agricultural systems. For further information, visit barrie.ca.bcity. Barrie Fire and Emergency Services is pleased to be hosting Camp Molly Barrie between September 26th and 29th, 2024. The camp is to show young females, those who identify as female or non-binary youth between 15 to 18 years, that a career in the fire service is a viable opportunity. Registration takes place between the 12th of June, 2024 and the 26th of July, 2024. For more information, please visit www.campmolly.ca. And my final announcement is that we are blessed to have here in the rotunda tonight the most beautiful woman in the world, unless my fiance and my daughter are watching, which is my mother. So thanks for joining us tonight, Mom. Kept me on my best behavior this evening. Members of council are asking that you come back in the future. And we'll move on to the bylaws. Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Harvey. Leave be granted to introduce the following bills, and these bills be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. Bill 56, 57, and 58.
It's moved by Deputy Mayor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Harvey, that leave be granted to introduce the following bills. These bills be ready first, second, and third time this day and finally passed. Bills 056, 057, and 058. Are there any questions or comments with regards to the bills on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor? It carries. Deputy Mayor Thompson. Oh, that's not for you. Went the wrong way there.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Harvey. Leave be granted to introduce the following bills, and these bills be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. Bill 59, 60, and 61.
It's moved by Deputy Mayor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Harvey, that leave be granted to introduce the following bills, and these bills be ready first, second, and third time this day and finally passed. Bill 059 to 061.
Thank you, Mayor Nettle. I'd like to reiterate my potential pecuniary interest concerning all of the bills. So Bill 59, as I and my family own properties that are part of the rezoning application, and Bill 60 and 61, as it's regarding the CIP and provisions in the proposed, or now the adopted terms of reference, could potentially apply to a development I'm associated with. So as a result, I won't be voting on these matters.
Madam Clerk, is the interest being noted?
Yes, Mayor Nettle.
Thank you so much. Any questions or comments with regards to 059 through 061? Seeing none, all those in favor? It carries. Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Harvey. Leave be granted to introduce the following bill, and this bill be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. Bill 62.
It's moved by Deputy Mayor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Harvey, that confirmation by law, the leave be granted to introduce the following bill, and this bill be ready first, second, and third time this day and finally passed. Bill 062. Any questions or comments with regards to the confirmation bylaw? I'm seeing none. All those in favor? It carries. Can I get a motion to adjourn, please? Councillor Harris, Councillor Harvey, all those in favor? It's adjourned at 8.